Hello and welcome to Volusia Magazine. I'm Amber Osman. In today's episode, we get a recap of a special Memorial Day celebration in Osteen. County officials examined the next generation of first responder communication tools, and the date for the 2017 Daytona Beach Half-Marathon has been announced. Plus, Joanne Magley talks with the manager of pollution control, Carey. Those segments, news, and more coming right up on Volusia Magazine. I hope you stay tuned. The small community of Osteen joined the nation in honoring America's fallen soldiers on Memorial Day weekend. Nearly 100 residents gathered at Osteen's World War I monument in the newly designated I. Walter Hawkins Veterans Memorial Park. The marble monument was erected in the 1920s by Osteen residents who wanted to recognize 9 local men who served in what was then known as the Great War. The honorees include Private Charlie Lenardi, who died in France in 1918 after serving overseas for only 6 weeks. I. Walter Hawkins' name is not on Osteen's monument, but he played a vital role in preserving and restoring the structure. The West Volusia resident served in the Great War and earned 2 Purple Hearts. After returning from the war, Hawkins went on to practice law and serve as clerk of the court in Volusia County and state representative in the late 1940s. In 1957, he convinced the Volusia County Commission to designate a portion of county land in Osteen as a memorial park in honor of American veterans of all wars. Since then, dozens of Osteen residents and organizations have worked tirelessly to restore, relocate, and protect their beloved monument. At Albert Pell's request last month, the Volusia County Council renamed the land on which the monument sits as I. Walter Hawkins Veterans Memorial Park. The war monument is a lasting reminder of Osteen's patriotism, traditional values, and family connections. Local emergency responders recently participated in an educational session about the future of public safety communication. The responders learned more about the First Responder Network Authority, also called FirstNet. Congress created FirstNet in 2012 to establish a nationwide public safety broadband network to connect first responders across jurisdictional boundaries during emergencies, as well as to support everyday missions when necessary. The law gives FirstNet the mission to build, operate, and maintain the first high-speed, nationwide wireless broadband network dedicated to public safety. FirstNet will provide a single, interoperable platform for emergency and daily public safety communications. Dennis Martinez, the former chair of the FCC Public Safety Advisory Committee, says the nationwide public safety broadband network is technology most everyday people are familiar with.
So really, in the end of the day, what we're trying to do is bring those same capabilities that we enjoy as consumers into the hands of our first responders, so that their jobs can be safer and more effective. So one of the capabilities that this network will enable is, for example, a camera in a school where maybe an incident has occurred, and that the information as to who entered the building, what they've done, where they are, could be relayed in real time to first observers or first responders as they enter the scene. So we call that situational awareness. It means giving the public safety user an awareness of the environment before they arrive, so they know what to expect and how to react to the threat that they're facing.
FirstNet is an independent authority within the U.S. Department of Commerce's National Telecommunications and Information Administration. The FirstNet board is composed of representatives from public safety, local, state, and federal government, and the wireless industry. For more information, you can visit firstnet.gov. Time to start thinking about lacing up those sneakers in preparation of next year's Daytona Beach Half-Marathon. Volusia County government and the Daytona Beach International Speedway have announced the 2017 Daytona Beach Half-Marathon, and it will be held at 7:30 a.m. Sunday, February 5th, 3 weeks prior to the 59th annual Daytona 500, NASCAR's biggest, richest, and most prestigious race. Early registration opens July 1st.
Well, we've got some big changes, very exciting changes. First of all, the half marathon and the half marathon relay are going to start at 7:30 in the morning. We used to start them about 6:45, but at that time of the year, it's dark, and there's a real critical difference in temperature once the sun comes up. Plus, the real impact of starting the run is when you start it in the speedway. They have the lights on, and that's kind of cool when you first get there, because you get that feel of it being lit when it's dark. But you really want to see it, the impact is when the sun's out. So this way, when the sun's breaking, you'll be taken off. We're looking at, especially for the runners that are out there, the more sort of complex the route is to a certain degree, that you see more and have a different experience, okay, running both ways is even more exciting. So what we're looking at is a new track that runs you out of the speedway and takes you through these beautiful neighborhoods in Daytona Beach. So the interesting, cool thing will be, ISB will be the route home. And it won't be repeating the route. And for runners that really are into it, it's kind of neat to not cover the same territory twice. Then you're going to come in to into the speedway. You're going to finish. We're going to have, and this is one of the big changes. We're going to do all of the food, probably all of the awards in an area that's inside the garages. So you get the experience of the speedway. You're going to get the experience, though, of where they actually have the pits, where the garages are for the cars. The beauty of this is, if it's chilly out, which it could be that morning, we'll have them heated. So you'll be in a warm place. You'll be able to have your bag drop there. You'll be able to store your stuff there. You'll be able to pick up your clothes there. That's going to be nice. You'll be able to eat where it's warm. You can relax. Now, what really takes it to a whole nother level is that we have the 5K at 10:30. Well, you say, why 10:30? First of all, it makes it even nicer in that time of the year for people that want to run the 5K. And you could have people that could wait for you. It'll be comfortable because they got a place to stay. The beauty of this one is, what if you decide, and you're in such good shape, you want to run both races? Now, you could actually finish the half marathon or the marathon relay, and then you could decide, I think I'm going to take a crack at that 5K. Now, you can do that on your own. You can decide that day. If you think to sign up early and want to take that on as a challenge, we call it the Speedway Challenge, not only will you be registered for that, and we're going to probably limit this to about 1,000 runners. We're going to have a special Speedway Challenge event where these are people that pre-signed up to run the half marathon or the marathon relay, and then they're going to be able to run the 5K. So you get the half marathon medal or the relay medal for the half marathon. You get the 5K lap around the track medal, and if you took on the challenge, you get a special challenge medal and a special Tyvek jacket, and it'll all be done inside the speedway at that time. Beautiful, the opportunity for it to be sunshine and gorgeous out. Temperature should be very nice, but if it's a little chilly or if it's raining, everything, all the stationary things will be inside heated garages. So it'll be a really cool event.
Early bird registration from July 1st to October 31st is $80 for the Daytona Beach Half Marathon, $70 for the Half Marathon Relay, and $30 for the 3.1 mile Lap the Track. For information or to register, you can visit DaytonaBeachHalf.com. More than 12 million people, mostly children and school personnel, get head lice every year. But as Joanne Magley reports in this week's Business Beat, one local mom is helping children and their parents find relief from these pesky parasites.
So it's going well?
It's going good.
And has anyone gone over with you steps to take at home?
Amy Dvorak knows firsthand the fear and frustration that comes with head lice. All 3 of her daughters contracted it.
We, of course, ran to Walgreens, bought everything they had on the shelf, attempted to treat it at home, and it just was very quickly we realized it was over our head.
When the over-the-counter treatments didn't work, the Port Orange mom found an alternative treatment clinic 90 minutes away in Jacksonville.
We went to the internet, we found a clinic in Jacksonville, and we, the next morning, went to Jacksonville and had it treated.
As she was making the long drive to Jacksonville, she was thinking about the clinic's business model.
And I thought that it would be good for parents to have this option here so that they don't have to travel. And it was such a pleasant experience with such a troubling issue that it inspired me to open one here in Daytona.
Soon after those successful treatments for her daughters, Amy began the process of opening up her own Lice Clinics of America franchise.
It was September when my daughters contracted lice, and then in January I went to West Palm Beach and became Shepherd certified in the Shepherd method, which is the strand by strand. And then we opened in February, and in March we added the aerolay machine.
Once parents find out their kids have lice, they typically go to a drugstore and get an over-the-counter chemical treatment. Now they have the option of coming to the Lice Clinic. Lice Clinics of America is certified to perform 2 types of treatments, strand by strand or the air-allay device.
The first one would be the air-allay treatment, which the heated air is used for 30 minutes on your hair, and then it would be your responsibility to comb out the debris. But everything is dehydrated, so there would be no concerns of live bugs or eggs being alive and capable of hatching. The second option would be where we actually use the aerolay and we do the comb out for you. And then we also have the strand by strand method, which is going through your head strand by strand, pulling every single nit and live bug off.
Prices range from $33 to $199. But Amy says she knows firsthand many parents will do whatever it takes to get their kids lice-free.
With the strand by strand method, we offer 2 follow-up visits, so it's almost holding mom's hand through the process to make sure that as they go back into school or go back into the environment where they contracted lice, that we have trained them to protect themselves and given them pointers on how to not get it again.
For the Business Beat, I'm Joanne Magley.
Here's a look at some events happening around Volusia County. For more events and county news, visit volusia.org.
Whoa! Why did you throw the trash out the window?
Once.
Don't you know how long it takes litter to decompose? A cigarette butt takes 1 to 5 years. A plastic bag, 10 to 20 years. A glass bottle, 1,000,000 years.
You know, you're right. We should start caring more about the environment. Let's stop litter now.
Keep Volusia County beautiful.
Put litter in its place.
Drive it home.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Find fun activities to do, like boating and biking, or camping and hiking, plus much more. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
It's time to go into the studio and join the Director of Community Information, Joanne Magley, and her guest, the Manager of Pollution Control, Tom Carey.
Thanks, Amber. Well, there's been a lot of discussion recently about water quality, from the water that we drink to the health of our rivers and lakes. So with us in the studio today with an update is Tom Carey, the Pollution Control Manager with Volusia County Environmental Management. Hi, Tom.
Hey, it's good to be here, Joanne.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, you're welcome.
So let's start off talking about the fertilizer ban, because we put this in place and it actually starts June 1st. Tell us about it.
Right. Well, the fertilizer ban runs from June 1st to the end of September, basically to October 1st. And it's a summer-long fertilizer ban. And the reason why the council did this is because during the summertime we have our heavy summertime rain. So if you put fertilizer on your property and you get a 2-inch gully washer, well, all that goes into the sewer system and then either into one of our surface water bodies or down into the groundwater. And what it is, Joanne, is from June 1st to September 30th, nitrogen fertilizer is banned, along with phosphorus fertilizer. After October 1st to May 31st, you can apply these things, but to be very specific, the nitrogen fertilizer has to be at least 50% slow release. And that's so when you put the granular on your lawn that it comes out slowly rather than all at once. That's nitrogen.
Give us a little bit of background. Why was this needed? And I'm sure you've done a lot of research to show that we really got to get this in place.
Right. We had to do scientific research in order to go beyond the state's model ordinance, which we have. We're stricter than the state's model ordinance. And basically, Joanne, what we found is that several of our water bodies have what's called TMDLs, total maximum daily load exceedances. Now, this is a term from the state, the Department of Environmental Protection, where any given water body may have too much of nutrients, nitrogen, chlorophyll, things of that nature. But basically that comes from nitrogen type sources like fertilizers, septic tanks, pet wastes, and wastewater treatment plants. So looking at our several water bodies that had TMDLs on them, we knew that we needed to take some action at least to start limiting the contributions of these pollutants into our surface water bodies and even in our groundwater.
So how are you trying to get the word out to homeowners and such to let them know that, hey, this ban is in effect?
Right. We have a website. We've partnered actually with the Marine Discovery Center and the Marine Resources Council down in Brevard County to have a website called befloridiannow.org. And it's a really good website, and it's got a lot of information about the things that you can do to make your yard more nature-friendly, to limit the amount of fertilizers and to do several cultural practices. We have a pamphlet, and we have on our website information on fertilizer at volusia.org/environmental. There's a lot of information there about fertilizers, what to and what to not do. So we've been trying to do that and just generally get the word out to the general public.
And is this throughout Volusia County or just the unincorporated areas?
It's throughout Volusia County, but I'm glad you asked that because both Daytona and DeBary actually had fertilizer ordinances in effect before Volusia County had their fertilizer ordinance. And by state rule, they actually preempt our fertilizer ordinance. So Daytona and DeBary have different fertilizer ordinances from Volusia County.
So we talked about this ban. What fertilizers, if any, are allowed during these peak wet months of the year?
Sure. Iron type of fertilizers, which are real good for greening, but they don't hurt the environment because iron is a natural element in the soils in Florida. And there's some composting that you can do. And really the main thing to do, Joanne, and what we suggest to people is, fertilize in the month of May, and then use your slow release. That should take you through a good part of the summer, and then once again fertilize in October. And we're kind of encouraging people to limit the fertilization to only 2 times a year. Your yards really don't need that. And when you think about the big picture, fertilizers never used to be in existence, 50 years ago. It's kind of a new product, and when you look at the length of time Florida has been here as a peninsula, that's a short amount of time, and so it's kind of almost a natural thing to fertilize. Certainly fertilizing too much is not good. And we're seeing this not only in our surface water bodies where we have the TMDLs and sometimes algae blooms and things like that, but we have nitrogen coming up in, for instance, Blue Spring, causing algae to grow, so it makes the spring not as good to look at, and it affects our groundwater, and so it's a good thing to limit the amount of fertilizer.
Yeah, so you mentioned the algae blooms, and in the news recently, back in March, Brevard County experienced thousands of fish being killed because of something called brown tide, I believe. So tell us about that a little bit and what actually happened there.
Right. Once again, it's pollutant contributions to the Indian River Lagoon, which we are part of, by the way. Volusia County is part of. Yeah, they had a tremendous fish kill that actually garnered international attention, and it's from the nutrients that you know, are contributed into the lagoon through stormwater runoff and canals and you know, the other things that I mentioned earlier in the show. You know, the wastewater treatment plants, septic tanks, that's another big one. So what we really need to do as people is to try to limit our contributions of these nutrients into our water bodies, and one way is through the fertilizer ordinance.
And could something like this, how easy is it for something like this to happen in Volusia County, and what are we doing to help prevent it?
That's really hard to tell. We are trying to prevent, you know, something from like that happening. I mean, that's our purpose here. You know, we as human beings just need to do everything that we can in our power to limit the amount of nutrients that go into our water bodies. And one thing is to reduce your fertilizer applications, to fertilize according to the ordinance, to pick up after your pet, that's one thing. If you have a septic tank, look at maybe getting that converted over to a sewer system if sewer is available. Mm-hmm. And we're working on some grants and things of that nature through the state, because it's very expensive to convert from sewer, or I'm sorry, from septic tank to sewer. So, you know, there's a lot of tools in the toolbox. We just need to start using the tools.
So let's talk a little bit about how we get our water. Mm-hmm. We are part of the Florida aquifer, and you had mentioned that Volusia's aquifer is actually pretty unique. So talk a little bit about that.
We're like no other county in the state. It's really kind of neat. We have a fault line on the north and south part of the county. The St. Johns River is on our west, and of course the Atlantic Ocean is on our east. We're an island unto ourselves as far as water resources. And all of our recharge to our aquifer that we get our drinking water from comes from rainfall. That's why rainfall is so important to environmental management. Mm-hmm. We look very closely at that. And basically it's a bathtub, and it starts at the St. Johns River and the Atlantic Ocean, and it's concave, and you know, the salt water is at the very bottom, and then on top of that it's fresh water recharged from the top by rainfall. And very unique system. It's called the Volusia Floridan Sole Source Aquifer, because that's our sole source for drinking water.
And so obviously it's very important to protect this drinking water.
It is.
Because it would be pretty expensive to have to get it somewhere else.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're all kind of, I like to use the analogy that we're birds in a nest, and we can either kind of mess up our nest or we can keep it clean for future generations. I myself would rather keep it clean for future generations. And what we need to do in that regard, Joanne, is to conserve water. You know, from the basics of turning the water off when you're brushing your teeth to maybe shortening your shower a little bit. Certainly go by the water restrictions. That's our biggest user of water, is outdoor water use for sprinkling your yard. And if you can limit that and abide by the water restrictions that are in effect, which Volusia did years ago, 15 years ago probably, that would be very helpful.
So let's remind people right now, what are the current water restrictions in place?
Well, if you have an odd address, you can water on Wednesday and Saturday. Even addresses can water on Thursdays and Sundays. Businesses can water on Tuesdays and Fridays. And you can't water between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. because that's the hottest part of the day. You put water out there, it's just going to evaporate up into there. You're throwing your money away. You can water for 1 hour per zone. So a typical household would have maybe 4 or 5 zone sprinkler system, so only 1 hour or less per zone. And basically that's it in a nutshell. Very common sense. You don't need to water more than 2 times a week at this time of year.
Yeah, and I know that later in the year when it's cooler, it's down to 1 day a week, and you've always said that basically our lawns just don't need as much water as we think that they need.
They don't. They go dormant in the cooler months, and it's when we go from daylight savings time, which we're on now, to Eastern Standard Time, when the time changes. That's when it goes to 1 day a week. Right now we're in 2 days a week.
So talk about our water levels as they are now. I know in the past when we've talked to you, we've been either short on the level that we want to be, or
Right.
maybe there's a lot in there. So where are we at right now?
Well, we just came out of our dry season. April is actually our driest month of the year, and it was actually a fairly wet April. And May has not been too bad either. And so the wells are looking well. As we go into the summertime, I think we're going to be really good. Any time now, usually around the 21st of May is when the summertime thunderstorms kick in.
Rainy season.
The rainy season starts. And we're hoping that that is no exception, and it will continue to get rain and recharge to the aquifer.
So Tom, what would you like people to think about, not just in the summer, but year-round regarding our water quality and our water conservation?
Well, water quality is really the #1 thing. We really need to clean up and prevent pollutants from getting into our water resources. I would encourage people to go to befloridiannow.org and look at the information that's on there. Another source is our website, volusia.org/environmental. They can go there and get a lot of information about water quality and also water conservation. We've got 25 water conservation tips that you can use, just very common sense thing, you know, to conserve our water and to protect our water resources.
All right, well, Tom Carey, the Pollution Control Manager with Volusia County Environmental Management, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, my pleasure.
Amber, back to you.
Thanks, Joanne, and thank you for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about the show, you can feel free to give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org and click on the News tab at the top of the screen to find us. Incidentally, you can find the County Council meeting calendar there too. In fact, you can use volusia.org to find out about meeting dates, workshops, topics of interest, activities, and how you can become involved. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today. That's Volusia County Government's weekly public radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Osmond. Have a wonderful evening.